Rothbury is also an ideal centre for climbing, walking, and even strolling. Before leaving the National Park, the Coquet is by its tributary, the Grasleys Burn. The Grasleys Valley is one of the loveliest in the county, rich, green and wooded, retaining on one side echoes of the Cheviots, and on the other the characteristic outline of the Simonside Hills glows in the September sun, with the royal hues of purple heather and golden bracken. Whatever the season, the Simonside Hills have much to offer the visitor. In spring, before the heather becomes thick and the bracken fronds too luxuriant, the enigmatic cup and ring markings, deeply etched by primitive man in some of the sandstone outcrops, can be clearly seen. Whilst in summer the energetic walker finds space to explore and finally to enjoy the breathtaking panorama which is the reward for his efforts. From this vantage point too, the road climbs out of the Grasleys Valley and falls beyond the moor to Elsdon, an old and interesting Northumbrian square village. Elsdon's antiquity is evident in the Mott Hills, which are passed on the northeastern approach to the village. Although visible traces of the 11th century Norman castle have long since disappeared, the steep man-made mounds, relics of an earlier age, remain to identify the site. The church and houses edge the village green, while behind the church and occupying the highest point in the village stands the vicar's peel, a finely preserved example of the typical Northumbrian peel tower, now modified to provide a house for the incumbent of the village church. Now, a dilemma. Which road to take? This road, on the left, rises to high moorland. And from any point up here, there are fine distant views over the National Park. At the highest point on this road stands a grim reminder of earlier days. Winter's Gibbet, a lesson to earlier travellers of the fate of those who broke harsher laws than we know today. The road to the right at the signpost joins the Otterburn Road, a road well known to motorists from the south, who, using it as it climbs up and up to Carter Bar, pass over into Scotland. Few, however, see the landscape to the north and south of the road, or appreciate that, to read, they're passing through an area which has perhaps the most turbulent history in the whole of the county. The Romans had a ballista station here, Bramenium, using the earliest form of artillery. Redesdale, at the centre of the infamous Middle Marches, was an area so notorious for its border feuds and its bands of outlaws and rustlers that strangers and king's officers alike took their lives in their hands when they ventured out. A spur served for dinner was noticed to the men of the household to take to horse, and replenish the larder with cattle stolen from the Scottish side of the border. The all but vanished Evestones village bears witness to the ruthless measures needed to enforce the king's peace in this lawless extremity of the kingdom. Today, of course, all is changed. Yet not. To the north, and for as far as the upper Coquet Valley, The land is used by the War Department as an all-arms range. History keeps a hand on Redesdale as if reluctant to let it go. The River Reed flows into the North Tyne at Reedsmouth. But in order to enjoy the North Tyne within the boundary of the National Park, it's necessary to backtrack once more toward the west and the little village of Falstone. Here the North Tyne runs through softer pastoral country in a broader valley than those rivers to the north. From Falstone down to Bellingham, trees occupy more of the scene than hitherto. And trees help to create one of the finest beauty spots of this area, the gorge of the Hareshaw Burn. Approached from Bellingham, the burn runs through its narrow, steep-sided valley. And then, tree-cradled back to tranquility after its headlong flight over Hareshaw Lynn. Feet on recreation bent. Feet on leisure bent. But for whatever purpose, many feet in the course of a year find their way onto the Roman wall. Whether as a student to investigate this unique monument, or as a simple tourist seeing one of the musts in a busy itinerary, Hadrian's Wall has a fascination for most people who find themselves in this, the southernmost part of the National Park. One of the finest preserved sections of the Roman wall is happily close to Housesteads, the most famous of the 17 forts which stretched like giant stepping stones from Wallsend-on-Tyne to Bowness on the Solway. There's some inexplicable satisfaction in standing where it is certain that Roman legionnaires once stood, and to see the forts and the milestones, the temples and the monuments. And the gateways, all outstanding examples of Roman imperial art and engineering.